I continue reading the book Teachings on Love by Thầy Thích Nhất Hạnh. Today is for chapter 3, Self-Love from page 21 to page 30. A human being is made of 5 elements: form, feelings, perceptions, mental formations, and consciousness. We are the king and these elements are our territory. To know the real situation within ourselves, we have to survey our own territory thoroughly, including the elements within us that are at war with each other. To bring about harmony, reconciliation, and healing within, we have to understand ourselves. Looking and listening deeply, surveying our territory is the beginning of love meditation. We look into our body to see whether it is at peace or suffering from illness. We look at the condition of our lungs, our heart, our intestines, our kidneys, and our liver to see what the real needs of our body are. When we do, we will eat, drink, and act in ways that demonstrate our love and our compassion for our body. Usually, we just follow ingrained habits. But when we look deeply, we see that many of these habits harm our body and mind. So we work to transform our habits into ways conducive to good health and vitality. Next, we observe our feelings, whether they are pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral. Feelings flow in us like a river, and each feeling is a drop of water in that river. We look into the river of our feelings and see how each feeling came to be. We see what has been preventing us from being happy, and we do our best to transform those things. We practice touching the wondrous, refreshing, and healing elements that are already in us and in the world. Doing so, we become stronger and better able to love ourselves and others. Then we meditate on our perceptions. The person who suffers most in this world is the person who has many wrong perceptions. For example, we see a snake in the dark and we panic. But when our friend shines a light on it, we see that it is only a rope. We have to know which wrong perceptions cause us to suffer. Please calligraph the sentence, "Are you sure?" on a piece of paper and tape it to your wall. Love meditation helps us learn to look with clarity and serenity in order to improve the way we perceive. Next, we observe our mental formations, the ideas and tendencies within us that lead us to speak and act as we do. We practice looking deeply to discover the true nature of our mental formations, how we are influenced by our individual consciousness and also by the collective consciousness of our family, ancestor, and society. Unwholesome mental formations cause so much disturbance. Wholesome mental formations bring about love, happiness, and liberation. Finally, we look at our consciousness. According to Buddhism, consciousness is like a field with every possible kind of seed in it. Seeds of love, compassion, joy, and equanimity, seeds of anger, fear, and anxiety, and seeds of mindfulness. When our mind is not at peace, it may be because of the desires and feelings in our stored consciousness. We look deeply into the nature of our feelings to find their roots, to see which feelings need to be transformed, and we nourish those feelings that bring about peace, joy, and well-being. There are people who think they love themselves, but who harm themselves all the time by their thoughts, words, and deeds. These people are their own worst enemy. Those who harm themselves through their thoughts, words, or actions are indeed their own worst enemies. They only bring themselves suffering. We usually think our suffering is caused by others, our parents, our partner, our enemies, but out of forgetfulness, anger, or jealousy, we say or do things that create suffering for ourselves and others. But because they are not mindful, they say and do things that create their own suffering. When we see that this is true, we will stop blaming others and as the cause of our suffering. Sit still is to calm your body and your breathing and recite. May I be peaceful, happy, and light in body and spirit. May I be safe and free from injury. May I be free from anger, afflictions, fear, and anxiety. The sitting position is a wonderful position for practicing this. Sitting still, we are not too preoccupied with other matters, so we can look deeply at ourselves as we are, cultivate our love for ourselves, and determine the best ways to express this love in the world. The practice of love meditation is not other suggestion. We don't just say, I love myself, I love all beings. We look deeply at our body, our feelings, our perceptions, our mental formations, and our consciousness. And in just a few words, our aspiration to love will become a deep intention. Love will enter our thoughts, our words, and our actions, and we will notice that we have become peaceful, happy, and light in the body and spirit, safe and free from injury and free from anger, afflictions, fear, and anxiety. Living mindfully is the best way to prevent accidents and protect yourself. Recognize your deep desire to live in peace and safety, to have the support you need, and to practice mindfulness. You might like to write down some of your observations and insights. The Buddha said that once we realize that we are the closest and most precious person on earth to ourselves, we will stop treating ourselves as enemy. Anger is a hazard that affects everyone, including ourselves. When we are overcome by anger, our peace and happiness vanish. Some people's lives are consumed by anger. They become furious when someone just bumps into them. Is this because of the circumstances or because of the seeds of anger in them? Look deeply at the seeds of anger in yourself. Look deeply at those you think have brought you harm. Love meditation helps us understand both, and it helps us let go of our habitual patterns of thought and actions that create more suffering. We see that the person who has harmed us is himself suffering very much. Contemplating his suffering generates understanding and love in us. And with these energies, healing is possible. When our heart is opened, our suffering diminishes right away. The practice of love meditation liberates us from our afflictions. The one who offends another after being offended by him harms himself and harms the other. When someone shouts at you, if you shout back, you suffer, the other person suffers, and the anger continues to escalate. Avoid such actions. They only harm both sides. When you feel hurt but do not hurt the other, you are truly victorious. Your practice and your victory benefit both of you. When you get hurt, hurting the other person will only cause the suffering to continue. Practice mindful breathing and you will create a win-win situation for both sides. We pray our daily lives will be free from hazards and injuries. We hope that anger will not arise. Practice looking deeply all day long during sitting meditation, walking meditation, at work, and at home. That's it for today.